Come on in, brother.
Can everybody hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. Chris, alcoholic, and I have recovered from a hopeless condition of mind and body. That's a statement that I didn't even know what that meant. Um, maybe 3 or 4 years coming into the program. But I know what it means now. I don't suffer from the allergy anymore or the mental obsession. I don't mentally obsess over the drink. And as long as I don't take that first drink, then I don't the allergy is not in full effect. Give me 1 second. Hey, can you turn?
Chris, you're still muted, brother.
Okay. Can everyone hear me now?
Loud and clear.
All right. Did I hear there was no profanity? I'm going to do my best. Sometimes when I get into it, sometimes I let one slip, but I've been working really hard to try to keep those four-letter words out of some of this. So I'm going to do a whole experience, strength, and hope. Hope you guys don't mind me walking through what it was like, what happened, and how it is now. But had my first drink around 12 years old. Got my first tattoo slightly after that too. And I was a nerdy redheaded kid from Southeast Los Angeles, and I think I was the only white kid in my school. Maybe there was a few others, but I remember just not fitting in. Like everyone was so gangster at that time, and I was the only one. Here I am with bright, curly orange hair. Thanks, mom and dad. Like, thanks for moving me into this neighborhood. I used to have to walk home and pick different directions because the bullies were at every corner, and it's like every single day I'd get picked on, beat up. They would take my shoes and throw them up on the telephone wire. And it's just like, I remember I'd watch like these Steven Seagal movies and stuff, and I would do my best to like do something different. Nope, there goes my shoes, or there's my underwear halfway up my back, or whatever, right? And something happened. I drank that first beer, the first beer I ever drank. I hooked up with a girl that night, and I went to school a couple days later drinking more beer, and I beat up the bullies that were pressing up on me. And I thought, this is my superpower. I love this stuff right here. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Old English, but that's what I was drinking because I'm from LA. And I was drinking OE 40s or Mickey's 40s, and we used to do this thing called Mickey's 40s hands, where my friends would tape 2 40 ounces to my hands, and you couldn't go to the bathroom until you finished both. So sometimes it was a really good time, and sometimes you needed to change of pants. But that's what we did for fun, man. And it was great when we were doing it, and we had a lot of adventures, and so like when I'm reading through Bill's story and I'm hearing about, him talking about coming back from war and being invited into people's homes and being like going to these parties and stuff, it was just like it reminds me of that time in my life, which is a miracle because I could never relate to a stockbroker from New York. You know, I'm some ghetto kid from LA. What do I have in common with a stockbroker from New York? And later on, I realized I have a lot in common with Bill, his drinking, and how it affected his life and people around him. So I thought, drinking is going to be a lifelong thing for me. This is why everyone does it. And at that time, I remember every Super Bowl, every like sporting event, whatever, there's all these commercials of people drinking and having a good time. And I wanted to be like them. I didn't want to be the nerdy redheaded kid anymore. I got incredibly good grades until I started drinking. And then girls and drinking beer became more important, than maybe studying and stuff like that. And those times went on until I was about 14 years old. And someone had stolen my mom's cell phone. I don't know if you guys remember the Nokia 2190. Like all you can do is make a phone call or play Snake. Someone had stolen my mom's phone, and when we had called to get the phone back, the man had requested something very foul for my mother to do to get the phone back. So me and my uncle jumped in a car, and we went down there, and my uncle blew his head off. So at this point, here's young Christopher, who's an explorer, which is a program I was seeking a career in law enforcement. I wanted to make a difference in this world, in which I always wanted to make a difference. And now, because of this program, I'm able to. And I ended up getting a juvenile life case. So there I go, being put in handcuffs for the first time in my life. And I remember my mom was making spaghetti that night. I didn't get to eat spaghetti. I got to eat whatever they were serving. And fought that case for a few years. my uncle ended up getting a double life sentence. And on a juvenile life case, I did about maybe a year and a half to 2 years on that. I can't even recall the amount of time I did. But so I get out, and the first thing I do is go right back to drinking. And by this point, school was kind of out the window now. My grades I didn't care about, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do in life besides I was really upset about this life event that happened. I felt like I got robbed of this future that I had, right? And I just continued to drink. Drinking turned into also some outside issues. I won't dive deeply into that, but that was a big part of my story as well. And it's I decided that I wanted to live my life like the rest of the guys around me, which was drinking, smoking, and straight West Coasting. And I was getting tattoos. I worked at an oil change place, and it was I was just getting my oil change today, and I was discussing with the guys, hey, I used to work at an oil change place, and I got fired because I'd sit in the oil bay, and there's a tamper seal that you're supposed to put on the oil filter, and I used to draw pictures underneath people's cars. I wouldn't even change your filter. I wouldn't care. And then I got caught doing that, and so they fired me. And so, anyways, what ends up happening is I have a dirt bike, right? And my dad raced dirt bikes, and so did I. And I decided I'd like to ride that thing around the neighborhood because I'm bored. And so the police chased me, and that was my first felony evading. And I ended up getting like 16 months or something, and maybe some camp, you know. And later on, that turned into I have 16 felony evadings that I got caught for. So I can't get a license in the state of California, and it's really inhibited some adult things in life. Now at 40 years old, I still can't obtain a license because I'm a habitual license abuser. And it's I'll never forget the thrill of looking behind you and you see all these lights and stuff, and it doesn't seem like it's a big deal because you're intoxicated until they're putting a knee on your head and you're being drug off, and then you're trying to explain to the judge why you thought it was a good idea to not pull over. Like at the time, I remember it seeming fake, like it's like a movie or something, until the reality hits that you're not coming home for a while, right? Um, Around that time, I got released, and my mom had a live-in boyfriend. My mom was I don't know if you guys ever had that dog Scruff McGruff come to your school, and he would they do a whole week, Red Ribbon Week, and this guy would come and tell you about drugs and alcohol. They used to give you this ribbon, and it would say, "Don't do drugs." We used to cross it out, so it would say, "Do drugs." And we'd wear it proudly on our chest. And this guy and these police officers are bringing all these glass beakers into class. And I'm looking at these things, and they're like, this is how methamphetamine is manufactured, children. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that's what my kitchen looks like. And I never knew that's what my parents were doing until, the school's presenting these things. I thought, man, that's crazy. And at that moment, I realized that my upbringing was a little different than some of the other children. And shortly into me making that realization that my mother is an addict, and unfortunately, she's still an addict to this day. She's actually sitting in the hospital due to some health complications as we speak. And one of her live-in boyfriends was murdered in front of me inside of my house, and I was 16 and a half, I think, because I had the previous accessory conviction. I got hit with another accessory because I refused to testify. So at this point, I'm not 18 years old yet. I've been slapped twice with an accessory after the fact charge. There's no way I'm going to get into law enforcement, the military, anything now, So I kind of figured that ever holding down a decent job or having a life I thought was impossible. I had no idea. I was like, man, I'll never have a good job. I'll never have anything. I might as well just keep drinking, and I'm going to die before I'm 21. That was my plan. I'm going to die before I'm 21. And, at that point, I had hung myself in front of my father's house. I got a noose tattooed on my face. So I don't ever forget how deep my disease will take me. If I don't stay spiritually fit, this thing can go into some pretty dark areas. And, it's thank God for the ironworkers and Boy Scouts, because I could tie a knot in my sleep. And I was able to tie a bowline around my neck and a clove on a tree. And I decided that I was going to end my story right then and there. And thanks to a neighbor who had CPR training, and some people that were the paramedics that picked me up, I was a DOA, and they were able to save my life. So the cool part about that is after you don't get out of the hospital when you do something like that, they bring these guys in, and they're usually pretty big. Like I picture a nurse being like some pretty girl in scrubs. No, these are some nurses, and these guys they took me to a place called the Anaheim Hospital for the Criminally Insane. And I spent 72 hours there and still did not know the severity of this disease or what it was doing, right? And I truly don't believe those things make me an alcoholic. These are just consequences of my actions, right? And it's I told them everything they want to hear. I knew exactly when they were questioning me what they were looking for and how to sound not insane. And so I didn't act emotional at all. I just said, hey, man, I just drank a lot and I don't really remember what happened. I blacked out, but I have no thoughts of suicide. And that's a lie. I hated myself. And every single day that I was alive, every breath that I took, I was absolutely miserable and I wanted to die. And after I told them what to hear, one of my female friends picked me up with some outside issues and a case of beer, and off I went. So 18th birthday rolls around and, still drinking like crazy. My father, by the way, is a normie. My mom was not. My parents are separated. My father's a normie, and he doesn't drink or do anything else. He raced professionally half his life, and he worked in the motocross industry. And he can't understand why his son is such a mess. He can't understand why I get the tattoos, why I get in the fist fights, why I do the things I do. And we were in juvenile court one time, and I was getting sentenced. And he told the judge, and he drinks. And the judge made me and him go do parent-son alcohol classes for 1 year. I remember tell him in the car, look what you did, dummy. Now we both have to go. And for diming me out, Dad, we both have to go to these classes. And not to fast forward my story, but there's a happy ending to that. Me and my father have a wonderful relationship nowadays. He's a wonderful man. And so I turned 18 years old, and I remember walking down the hallway, 18 in one day, and I'm looking at all this throw up in the hallway. And I told my dad, was one of the dogs sick last night? Like, what the hell happened to the house? And he said, you got drunk last night and threw up all over my house. And he grabbed me by the back of my shirt and he threw me out. So 18 in a day, I have nowhere to live. I have a criminal record. I got no goals in life. I got no career, no plan, no nothing. And a friend of mine let me sleep on his couch. So about 2 weeks of sleeping in on his couch, his dad was like, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm going to go in the military if they'll take me. So I went to this place called MEPS, and they do like a physical psychiatric evaluation. You take an ASVAB and all this stuff, and they keep you for 3 days. And they decide that at that time I had too many tattoos, and I had to get waivers for them. So I was waiting for the waivers. My friend's dad gives me a job. He owns an iron company, and he gave me a job as a union iron worker. And here I am, 22 years, 23 years later, and I still work in the same industry. I'm still at the same job. I never went in the military. And, I was able to never move back into that household. I was able to get a union job, have decent benefits, save up some money, and learn how to take care of myself. But I really feel like a lot of the lessons I learned didn't start until I got sober 5 years ago, because life was just a mess. I made good money, could never hold on to a house, was always like hiding cars from the repo man and things like that, right? And I had another suicide attempt after joining the union, maybe a few years in. And someone suggested that I go to Alcoholics Anonymous. So here I am, maybe I'm 19, 20, and I just have this fantasy of, putting a hose through my window, a gun in my mouth, a rope around my neck, whatever's going to stop this, because I felt that my parents didn't raise me to be this person that's just this incredibly selfish, terrible person that just drinks and causes chaos everywhere. And I always had this fantasy of like meeting the girl, getting the house, putting the boat on the side of the house, and having some children and hanging out by the river and stuff on the weekends. And I could only seem to hold a female for 3 to 6 months. And then all the lies I told got discovered, right? So like whatever smoke and mirrors I had, once they move in with you, they realize that you're just a lying piece of crap alcoholic. And so someone suggested that I go to AA, and I'm just completely miserable. And my family by this point was quitting on me. I had just about no one that gave a crap whether I even breathed there or not. And I go to a meeting, and it was a book study. I didn't know what a book study was yet. And I sit in this meeting, and in the middle of everyone getting ready to read the big book, I just blurted out, I just tried to commit suicide and I don't want to live. And I just hijacked the meeting and just talked about myself. They gave me a bunch of phone numbers, a directory, and I didn't go back to A for 2 years. Just drinking, doing my thing. 2 years later, life kept piling problems on, right? I must be an alcoholic because look at all these problems. Today, I believe you're an only alcoholic if you have trouble moderating or you can't stop once you start. But at that time, I thought my DUIs made me an alcoholic. I thought my criminal record made me an alcoholic. And I'm back in AA. I get a sponsor, and this guy has the audacity to tell me it's not a thing of mental control, that I have to have a relationship with God. Well, when I was a kid, I had been molested by a guy that would tell me about God. So I was like, nope, I'll work all the steps, but my Harley Davidson is my higher power. I am absolutely not going to believe in this dude up in the clouds. Just not. Or whatever's in that book, I don't care. I don't want to know about it. When he told me to pray, I remember I was like thinking about like girls or like my motorcycle or other stuff, right? Meanwhile, those felony evadings that started off with that first one on the dirt bike, they're probably up to about like 6 or 7 felony evadings by this point because I just don't like to pull over. And I'm usually intoxicated when they try to pull me over. So they better have their seatbelts on because I'm gone, right? And this man took me all the way through the steps. I made zero amends. I lied on my 5th step. On my 4th step, I don't know why people are afraid of that one. That's easy. I just told them all the people that screwed me over. I like thought me and him are going to go around and like kick doors open and like, how dare you? This guy's a member, how dare you have done this to Chris? And then he flipped it on me and I was supposed to pray for these people. I'm supposed to make amends to these people. What do you mean I already made the list back in step 4? That's insane. All the people that I was trying to dime out are the people I got to go and make amends to, And so I basically, half worked all the steps, tried to take what I could out of it, and then white knuckled for a few years. That didn't work. So I ended up relapsing and meet my current wife, who I'm with right now. And we there's some things going on there that we're working through. But there's me and her have been together 15 years, and right around our 5th year, she's been on the back of the bike while I ran from the cops. And thank God we didn't crash or nothing happened that would keep her from being a mother of the stuff she needs to take care of, right? And I get in this pursuit, right? And I got a pocket full of outside issues. I'm super intoxicated. I think I blew a .31 once they caught me. And I took all the police in Pomona on this big pursuit. And I couldn't shake them. Just couldn't shake them. So I ended up pulling over and the helicopter's on me. And it's about 3 a.m. and there's no cars inside. I shook all the cops, but I couldn't shake the helicopter. And I'm sitting there with the spotlights on me, and I just call the wife, and I go, I'm not coming home tonight. Please call my boss and let him know that I'm not making it into work tomorrow. And that was it. I got sentenced to 16 with half prison time. And I get sent to jail. And before you go to prison, they take you to this place in the area I lived in called Los Angeles County Jail. Really nice place. I've been in jail in Mexico and jail in LA. I'm telling you right now, the jail in LA is like the Ritz-Carlton in comparison to the jail in Mexico. It is just a really nice place, right? They were so overcrowded that I slept on the floor and I used to roll toilet paper for my pillow. And I decided, you know what? I want my own cell. So I beat up one of the guys I picked the smallest guy too, because that's just how I am. I picked the smallest guy and I just beat the crap out of this man. That way they send you to this place called The Hole. You get your own cell, you get your own bed. There's no one in there to bother you. It's wonderful, right? And the police officers are done beating me up and macing me, and they're taking me to The Hole. Before they take you to The Hole, they take all your clothes away. Take all your clothes away. They make sure you don't have nothing on you. And then as I'm getting dressed and I'm getting ready to go to The Hole, a chaplain walks by me. This man hands me a New Gideon Bible. And the only reason I took it is because I had no possessions. I didn't want to be bored. I took this Bible. I did not want to find Jesus or anything. I don't know who your higher power is, and I do not judge as long as it's a power greater than yourself, but mine is Jesus Christ. And this man gives me this Bible. I go to The Hole, and I'm in The Hole for about 3 months. I read all the way through the gospel, and then I read all the way through the Old Testament. And when I think of Bill's Winchester Cathedral experience, knowing that he's experiencing something spiritual, but not really knowing what that is or how to materialize it, that was mine. I'm in this jail cell with this really dim light, right? And I'm sitting trying to like hold the Bible up to the light and I'm trying to read this Bible. And when I got into some of the portions of how God floated the earth because of man's lust and ego, there wasn't a dry page in that book. There wasn't one dry page in that book. So I was looking at some jail time because they caught me for some other charges that were pending. And I thought I'm going for 16 with half. They tacked on 32 years. And I'm in the hole and I'm thinking my whole life's over. I'm never getting out of prison. I might as well probably stab someone or do something crazy to ensure that I have an easier life in there now. I'm never going to see my daughter again. I'm never going to see my stepson. That woman that's been standing by my side that I'm promising her that I'm going to do better and I'm going to quit drinking. I don't know. How do you think Lois felt sitting in that tent while Bill's down in town drinking beer and she's miscarrying babies and stuff, but he's out drinking when he's supposed to be looking for a doctor? How do you think my girl felt when I'm in jail and she's struggling to waitress 2 or 3 jobs to try to, and I'm calling her, hey, make sure they don't repo my truck. Hey, put some money on my books. I'm pretty sure Lois probably felt how my partner felt in those times. I wasn't there. And I wasn't a very good husband. I wasn't a very good father. I wasn't a very good human, period. And I got on my knees every single day and I prayed. I know you can't make a deal with God, but I said, if you get me out of here, I know you can't. 32 years is a long time. I know you can't get me out of here, but if you do, I will stop the outside issues. I will stop the drinking. I'll stop the womanizing. I will stop running from police. So there's a police officer comes and visits me. I don't know if anyone in here is acquainted with jail politics. You're not allowed to talk to law enforcement. But I decided I was going to talk to this man. And he basically tells me his name was Deputy Palm. And he was working the jails because he got taken off the streets for being in a car accident. His car accident was him chasing someone on their motorcycle. He lost control of his car and he killed a mom and her 2 children on a bus stop. So he said, if you think that your crime is a victimless crime, you should think about what I just told you. I still ride motorcycles and I still ride incredibly fast, but I'll tell you this, I have never ran from the police since that conversation. I see red and blue lights, I pull over, and they can take the bike. I'll get it out of impound later. They can take the bike. And the thing is I never thought about what I was doing, how it affected others. I never thought that me trying to have fun on my motorcycle could result in a mother not going home or her children. Little tiny lives were cut short because this man was running on his motorcycle. And here I am at this point with 16 felony evadings over my life. That's what I got caught for. You can imagine how many times I got away. I wouldn't have kept doing it if I wasn't good at it, you know? And here I am thinking that other people are criminals because they rape and they murder and they do all these things, right? I'm just a guy who likes to ride wheelies and go really fast. And so about a month after talking to that police officer, my lawyer goes over my case and he finds a discrepancy, a lie a police officer had told. Well, his whole testimony is shot. My case is shot. I got exonerated of all charges and I got sent home. And my lawyer came to visit me and he goes, you're going home, Chris? I go, like, when? Because like usually when someone's case gets overturned, it's like years, months, whatever. He goes, today. You're going home today. So when I post my sobriety before and after photos, I post a photo of me like 165 pounds wearing a paper suit being released from jail. You know, and then I post a photo that's like current me and my family or something, you know. And I got released that day. I had to walk from El Monte Courthouse to La Harbor Heights, and it was like a 6-hour walk in the rain. Never rains in that area, but it rained that day. And I didn't care. I'm like feeling the rain on my body, and I'm in a paper jumpsuit, you know, and I'm walking in. And while you're walking, everyone knows that you just got out of jail. So people are honking their horn at you, and they're waving. No one offered a ride, but I didn't care. I was just so happy. Imagine going from the rest of your life knowing you're never getting out. I mean, it was 32 years, so you're getting out. But 32 might as well have been the rest of my life, right? To I'm walking home today. And I sat there and thought, whatever prayers, God is real. He is absolutely real because I prayed and here I am walking in the street. I went home. I struck a deal with one of my wife's family members where they let me live at their house temporarily. They helped me get a car. They helped me get back into union. And every cent that I owed them, I paid them back within 3, 4 months. From there, I was able to rent a room. From there, an apartment. From there, a townhome. And now in the beautiful home that I'm actually zooming from my office, I got a house. I got my own office. I don't even like, it's not an extravagant place, but it's a room and I call it my office and I put a computer in it. I'm in the process of moving. So it's a little bare because we're going to a new house, but it's just like to go from that jail cell and a lifestyle where I don't care who you are, incredibly terrified every day of my life, to being able to freely go wherever I want. It's huge. It's huge, you know? And so anyways, I didn't know within maybe a month or so, I started drinking again. My company sent me to San Francisco, still an iron worker. And I work in the management phase now. So like they're putting me in charge of stuff and I don't even know why. It was very shortly into my stay in San Francisco that outside issues became a part of my life. I spent a lot of time in the gentlemen's clubs. I was in a position at work where there's no bosses over my head, so no one watches what I do. And I started telling my superiors that I needed time off to go to rehab, and they didn't care. They just said, "We don't care what you do on your personal time. We need you on the site, on the job." And I finally, I had gotten in contact with someone from BBA, and his name was Nick. And he gave me some phone numbers, and some guy asked me if I was a real alcoholic, and I was like, "Man, like I got this mean criminal record and all this stuff, and then me and him didn't talk anymore, and I ended up, kept going with what I was doing. I OD'd on fentanyl and got taken to the hospital, Narcan, and all this stuff, and I remember sitting there kind of comatose as the guys were driving me to the hospital, and I could think clearly. I just couldn't speak or move, and I'm throwing up all over myself. And my employees are driving me in a company truck to the hospital, and I'm sitting there just thinking, this is it. God saved me from prison. He saved me from all these things, and I go right back to those things, and here I am. I'm gonna die again. I'm dead. I can feel it coming. I remember I kept my eyes were getting so heavy, and I thought, if they shut, I'm dead. If they shut, I'm dead. No, they Narcan me, and here I am back again. And I'm on the job the following day, still doing outside issues and still drinking. Someone gives me a phone number to a woman. Same guy, Nick from BBA, gives me a phone number to this woman. I call her today my A.A mother, which that's just my nickname for her, and she's a huge mentor of mine. And I was on the phone with her, and she asked me what I was doing. And I said, I'm walking around with a gun in my pants, and I don't know if I'm going to use it on myself or on someone else. She asked me what kind of firearm it was. I told her it's a .357 Smith & Wesson. She goes, that's amazing. I have the same one on my nightstand. Can you empty it out, please? And I don't know why, but I said, sure. So I cleared the weapon and put it away. And then she ended up giving me my sponsor's phone number, and she told me, call him tomorrow. I'm like, I'm sick now. Can I call him right now? And she goes, he's a very busy man. Call him tomorrow. And I call, he was on this call earlier, but I don't know where he's at now. But I called Pat T, and I didn't know that was an interview at the time, but I guess it was, whether he thought I was a candidate to go through the work or not. And I basically just talked about my dirt bike the whole time because I had bought a new dirt bike. And this guy's on the phone with me, and all I do is talk about my dirt bike because I'm so excited I got this new dirt bike. And he goes, okay, well, order these books and do this and do that. So I call him a couple of days later. I ordered those books. They're here. And we started the work. And he goes, can you get down to San Diego? I work in San Francisco. And I work for the Forbes #2 for general contracting companies. And I got a supervisory position. There's no way I can go down there. I work 7 days a week over here, And a day later, one of my men ran an excavator into a power line, and we knocked out power to a quarter of the city and all the trolleys. So guess what? I got fired. It's supposed to get sober and things get better. Not for me. I mean, they did get better, but in a different way. So I lost that position. I got a new job at San Diego Airport. I just got asked if I can come down to San Diego and hit some of these meetings. And I got a new position building Terminal 1 for San Diego Airport. So for the first year of my sobriety, I was able to go to my home group, which was in San Diego, in person. I was able to work through these steps line by line, word by word, BBA style. I was homeless for the first 6 months of that, living in my truck and working. I couldn't afford my bills, so every dollar my company gave me for a hotel, I had to send home to try to get out of my financial ruin. And I lived in San Diego Harbor in this spot where I'd watch all the airplanes land, all the boats come in the harbor. And I remember sitting on the back of my tailgate reading the big book, just thinking, what a magical place. One of the most beautiful places I've ever been in. It was such calm and peace for the first time in my life in a very long time as I read through this book and I'd watched all the busy people. And I would just sit there and pray and think. I didn't want to learn the big book, and self-knowledge is everything you know minus God anyways. But my sponsor and my AA mom would always call on me in meetings, and I didn't want to sound stupid in their meetings because everyone's an expert in their meetings. And so I thought I better read this. I better read it so I don't look like an idiot when they call on me. And I'm like, keep the plug in the jug. And so I started reading this book, and in that process, something happened. I went from have to get to. I got to a point where I enjoy reading this. I got to a point where I could relate to Bill. I read this part that I had read, I don't even know how many times, where Bill's riding his motorcycle across the upstate New York with Lois on the bike. And I thought, wow, man, that guy's like me, only he's not running from the cops, or maybe he was. I don't know, you know? And, but I got to see the similarities with Bill's story, with Fred's story, with Fitzmail. When they said Fitzmail was in a barn hiding, they had to set a search party out for him. That's me with outside issues, all paranoid from the shadow people, like, wow. This book was written in 39, and I got so much in common with these people, and the reality that I was powerless was so much in my face that I couldn't ignore it anymore. Absolutely couldn't ignore it. So for the first time, I've been through the steps maybe 5 or 6 times by this point. A lot of white knuckling, a lot of BSing with whatever sponsor I had at the time. And for the first time, I worked an honest fourth, an honest fifth. And the magic really happened when I worked an honest nine. And one of the toughest things to do was talk about my ego and my lust with such dirty, terrible things. And sit there and tell my sponsor that I've done these things. And, I don't care what people do, but I used to be an active member in the gentlemen's clubs. I haven't been back to one in years, so I could care less. They say, well, if you have a sufficient reason, oh man, there's been bachelor parties, there's been stuff. I live in Las Vegas. There is stuff around, and I just lost a taste for it. I could care less. I really could. The lust is gone. I don't know where it went, but I used to keep that lust as on this pedestal, right? It was like just controlled every aspect of my life. In the other big book I read, there's this guy named Samson. This dude was big and strong. He died because of his lust. But God saved me from mine. For some reason, going to church, small groups, Bible studies, I couldn't connect. But when I got into We Agnostics, when I got into page 64, where the spiritual malady is overcome, we straightened out bodily and mentally, those things hit me like a ton of bricks. I connected to God through the big book first, before I started going back to church. This was a stepping stone for me to meet my Creator. And the thing is, had I not done it that way, my present day agnosticism was so strong. I thought, like, someone said, are you an agnostic? No way, I believe in God. But I didn't believe God would help me. I didn't believe God would help you or anyone else. I had no idea that all I had to do was ask. And all those times, everyone's ever been to a church session and they're like, right now, if you got depression, anger, this or that, let God into your heart. I remember like never giving in. Absolutely not. And the first time I ever gave in was reading this book, getting on my knees with my sponsor in prayer. Because the book said on our knees, so we did it on our knees. I kind of warned some of my sponsees that when we get to that part, if we're doing it at Starbucks, we're on our knees, man. Maybe we should do it in your living room or mine if you're going to be embarrassed. But if you're going to get hung up on being embarrassed for praying, man, doing this work in the big book is 24 hours a day everywhere you're at. If you're going to be embarrassed over those small things, maybe Maybe you're not ready to take certain steps if you want what we got, you know? And so it's crazy that a phone call to this woman resulted in me meeting a man who walked me through. And I remember telling my sponsor one day, I said, man, if you ever need anything, I owe you. I'll never forget what he told me. I don't owe him anything because what he gave to me didn't belong to him. And I've been able to repeat that same comment to some guys I sponsor. I think over the last 5 years, I don't keep count, but with workshops and everything else, I've got to work with over 100 and something people. And I don't keep track because I don't care. We're not, the more we level up, we just get to the next level of servant, which is just servant. So it's just, wow. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, God, for this program and for people like me who can't even function without a drink in their hand. Thank you for the clarity to be able to take someone's hand and say, let me introduce you to someone that helped my life out. His name has 3 letters in it. It might work for you too. And it's I've been able to work with Muslims, 2 of them, LDS, someone that was like, they didn't believe in God at all. They believed in energy sources. And so they prayed to energy. Didn't matter. The steps worked for every single one of those people. And I never had to impress my religious ideas on anybody. I do vocalize mine because that's just part of my story, but I've never had to press up on those things. Um, when I start to feel like I'm getting off, which happens, sometimes I think, oh, I'm so spiritual and life's going good. And then maybe I talk real condescending to someone at work that didn't deserve it. Maybe I'm rude to someone in the grocery store, or whatever. I'm able to flip to that page 52 and go over those 7 bedevilments and ask myself if those are a part of my life right now. And if I can answer yes to any of those questions, I'm able to go back through 10 and 11 and see where I'm at right now. I use that page, the bedevilments, as a page to test my temperature gauge. Am I within the spirit right now? My spiritual fitness is on me. It's not God's job to keep me spiritual fit. It's my job, right? And if I'm not, what's it going to take to get there? The doctor, a long time ago, prescribed me medications for being manic depressive and having PTSD. And the medications made me crazy, crazier than I was. Medication has its places. I'm not a doctor and I don't know you or what you go through, but it's been 5 years and I haven't had to take one pill that wasn't an aspirin. The anxiety, the feelings, the craziness, I don't know where it went, but it's gone. It's absolutely gone. I'm able to work these steps. I'm able to have a clean lifestyle, eat good, sleep good, and be as normal as I can be with my face covered in tattoos, And for me, working the steps wasn't a one-time thing. It's a continuous thing. My 10 is an awareness all day and all night. My 11 is when I retire at night and when I wake up. And if it's something that's really bad, then I call someone like Eric S. or Pat T. or Sean S. I call some of these people and I say, hey, man, this is what's going on. And I'm able to work the process that way. Whenever I take someone through the work, I'm also doing the work myself. So when someone told me this is helping me out as much as it's helping you, I believe it. I believe it because I'm constantly going through the steps. And as I'm constantly going through the steps, I'm constantly reminded of why my step 1 was so long. It's the first 4 chapters of the book. And every guy before the sponsor I had says, are you powerless? And I said, yeah. Okay, on to the next step. I never got how important that step was. It may be the most important step. And my step process was admitting that I'm that screwed. Step 1, you're screwed. Step 2, believe something can unscrew you. Step 3, turn your will and your life over to that thing that's going to unscrew you. But if I don't truly believe that I'm screwed, and if I don't truly believe that there's something out there, that step 3 is useless and that prayer is empty. And nothing materialized out of that. And if nothing materialized out of that, then how could I be honest in 4 and 5? And if I'm not honest in 4 and 5, how could I have those things removed from me in 6 and 7? How can I even generate an honest list in 8? How can I get into a 9 and start those amends, which was what truly unblocked me from hearing what God's trying to tell me. And if I didn't do any of those things, how am I supposed to have an experience and transmit it to someone else? Wasn't going to happen. The most important step that I work today is 12, and that's not cleaning up ashtrays or picking up chairs. That is cracking this book open with another human being with nothing in return besides wanting them to have exactly what was given to me. I don't have any kind of ego with being a sponsor. I think when I first started, it was like, oh, he didn't do what I suggested. I don't even care now. You don't do what's suggested, what's waiting for you is way worse than anything I could do to you. Jails, institutions, and death. I've done 2 of those things often, and the third one's around the corner. If I don't pick up this book, read it with other people, and continuously work these steps in my life and implement the principles that have been given to me. There's no days off. There's absolutely not. The most important part of my life today is my relationship with my Creator. There's 2 things I do, right? Bring Chris into the idea or bring God into it. When I bring Chris into the idea, I've told you guys, I live in Vegas. It's a roll of the dice. I'm either going to hit big or not. When I bring God into it, it doesn't even matter the results. I know it's divinely guided, and I could firmly step into that decision knowing it's the right thing to do. Even if the right thing to do is a negative result, smooth seas don't build good sailors. I know when it's rough times, it's exactly what I need. So when I step into a difficult conversation with one of my, like someone that works for me or something, I got to fire a man. I used to take pleasure. Say, hey, where's your lunch bill at? Oh, it's right there. Get it. You're fired. I loved it. The power, the prestige. Ugh, I'm the boss. I went from being this loser kid to I get to fire you today. I'll pray before I have to fire someone out, and I'll cry. Don't care any of you in this meeting that want to pass judgment on that. I'll cry because I think about their wife. I think about their children, and I want to make sure that before I make this decision, it's the right thing to do. I've had some rentals, and I've had to remove tenants. Before I evict that tenant, I've had to sit there and really pray because I'm about to make someone homeless. And one of my tenants is my own mother, and she is homeless right now. Making some of these decisions have been tough. I won't get too far into it, especially because she's on call. But I filed for divorce a few months ago. One of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I spent some time on the phone with Tyler and Patton. They didn't tell me what to do. They told me to take it to God. And now we're working what I thought was an irreparable situation. Irreparable. We're in the same household right now. We're going to AA meetings together and we're praying together. Don't know what the future holds, but that's where we're at right now. My son, he was able to move out last year, turned 18 and moved out. Who does that? Not me. He graduated with a 4.6. To know that the kid that should have been in prison the rest of his life raised a young man to being a self-sufficient human being, to being such a beautiful, beautiful example of what people can be. It's an honor. My 2 daughters are straight A students. We just enrolled my youngest daughter in the Summerlin Christian Academy in Nevada, and she was accepted. And I sat there and thought, I can put my children in private school. Thank you. Thanks, God, for giving my life to me. And thank you for the people that keep these rooms open so I can have the life that I have. Because it's unmerited favor. I don't deserve one damn thing I've been given, but it's been given to me anyways. So I'll spend the rest of my life trying to give it back. My name is Chris. Thank you for letting me share.